the title track, I guess, is probably the most explicit. No singing or dancing. Obviously the title comes from, I don't know, seeing a tweet or something like that about, you can have a wedding with 15 people or something, but no singing or dancing, or, like these sorts of things that we never would have imagined in our lifetime. These rules would be in place. But, and as a musician, someone who makes their livelihood, being in venues where our whole reason for being there is singing and dancing, it kind of, really hit home.
Yeah, man, have I missed that theme song? Produced by my good friend Graham Beery, otherwise known as Bedroom Antics. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Release Day Series podcast. I'm your host, Alex Heward. It's been a while since we've released an episode. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming back. Just had to take a little bit of time away over the summer, and work got a little bit busy and through September. So I just had to put the podcast on hold, but I have a couple great conversations that happened through the month of August that we are ready to release. And this being the first one with JUNO-nominated singer-songwriter Matthew Barber, JUNO-nominated for his wonderful album Ghost Notes. But he's here today to talk about, at this time, his latest EP that was released on July 22nd, 2022. No singing or dancing. In fact, that clip at the very beginning gave you a little bit of an idea of the title and where it came from. And the rest of the album is absolutely fantastic, lyrically and instrumentally. So, not only a wonderful singer-songwriter and producer, but he is also a longtime music veteran, and he's been in this industry for over 20 years now. Spent some time with multiple record labels, and is now currently on Outside Music and has been there for a while. So I'm really excited for you to hear this conversation and just listen to his perspective and his thoughts on the industry as it's evolved and in his career as well. Now, before we get to that, I just want to remind you can head to releasedayseries.com and check out all of our previous episodes there, along with our limited video series. You can also sign up for our bi-weekly newsletter. That newsletter will keep you up to date with the latest episodes and kind of give you a refresher on what's come out before. And along with that, you actually get a really cool pitch document that was fully put together by publicist Carrie Zalick, and she graciously allowed me to use it as well to help provide musicians with an understanding and better insight on how to pitch their music to music publications and, hey, even this podcast. So go make sure you sign up for our newsletter to grab that document. So, broadcasting from the traditional territory of the Williams Treaties First Nation, the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, Wendat, Inuit, and Métis peoples. This is my conversation with Matthew Barber. Matthew Barber, welcome to the Release Day Series podcast. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
It's great to have you on to chat about your new EP. You've been quite a little bit, I guess, just especially as more of like a writer. You've been producing a lot, but this is your first sort of project since 2018, I think.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
we
don't lie. We don't lie here.
No, it was pretty, probably, I guess, maybe the longest gap between albums in my career. I don't know. No specific reason for that, other than maybe just wasn't writing as many songs, and I don't know, life and other commitments taking over, and also I just didn't feel like in a big rush to get something out. I was on a pretty consistent pace of putting out something every couple of years, going back about 20 years now. So I feel like I'm allowed to have a little bit of a gap in there in my sort of, I don't know. I guess time will tell if this is late career Matthew Barber or mid career Matthew Barber. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh man, no way, man. Oh, I hope it goes on a lifetime. Like you said, almost 2 decades. Like, did you think, like, when you first started that it was going to be like, did you have goals of like doing this for the rest of your life, or was it like just give it a 5-year, 10-year, and then it kind of kept rolling?
I think I gave myself 1 year at first, like kind of coming out of university, where I was like, okay, I'll give myself 1 year to really focus on this, and we'll see what happens. And then A few things happened kind of quickly for me in terms of, getting record deal and getting sort of thrust into the Canadian music scene industry a little bit early on, and then I guess once you're in there and it's a pretty nice life being a musician. It's tough. It's a tough way to make a living, and it feels like it's a constant struggle to kind of get to that next level that is hard to get to. But at the same time, you get to do what you love, and you get to travel, and actually to make any money playing music is a real privilege and a blessing. So once you're in it, you just kind of want to hang on, and then the longer you do that, the less and less qualified you are to do anything else. So now I'm like, okay, I think I have to stay in music now. I gotta keep finding new ways, new revenue streams, or new ways to kind of reinvent myself in the music sphere. And so yeah, I'm doing a lot more producing now, and I'm really enjoying that. But yeah, I'm just trying to find ways to stay in music any way I can.
Yeah, it's been cool to see you've been working on too. Obviously working with Noah Reid as well, and producing his albums, and as well as Clever Hopes. So yeah, you're keeping yourself busy, like you said, in there. And man, isn't that just sort of the grind day as an artist, just figuring out revenue streams? And I can't imagine. Did it get easier? Did it get harder, do you think, over the years? And I know you had like sort of a major deal with Warner, which maybe things were a little bit, I don't know. Usually they say it gets harder, but when you sign majors, but over the course of, the albums you've released and making music, you feel like it's gotten easier, harder, stayed sort of the same to make money?
To make money, I never really know how anybody makes money.
Yeah.
I somehow have, kept my head above water all these years, but certainly haven't gotten rich. But yeah, I don't know. I think you just kind of keep looking for the next gig, just keep I've been lucky with being a songwriter. I own all my own publishing, so that's really helped out over, just getting those royalty checks, getting those SOCAN checks 4 times a year. And then, there's various other, just like having that is just a little bit of a foundation, so that you're not constantly living gig to gig. That's helped me. But not every musician has a big catalog of songs that they can be earning publishing money off of. If you're sort of more of a session drummer, bass player, guitar player, or something like those folks really are living gig to gig. So, I've been lucky in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's not easy, but then when you get a paycheck from music, it kind of feels like easy money. I don't know, like, cause you're doing what you love to do. And so yeah. I don't know. It's, no regrets, just got to keep plowing forward.
Oh, for sure, man. Absolutely. And, I love how you said you kind of gave yourself a year, and now, just over 20 years later, the industry today, and, people releasing music or getting into the industry today, they don't think that it happens, overnight. Not only do you have to be good at what you do, but it really doesn't. It takes time, and you also really don't have to be a big household name to do music, have music as a career for a living.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly not a household name, and I've certainly been at a pretty sort of indie level plateau for most of my career, and not selling out huge concert theaters or anything like that. But I feel like I have a loyal fan base that I don't know, somehow seems to be growing, internationally through Spotify and things like that. And I don't really know how it works, but yeah, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I'm still in the game.
You keep it, you keep at it, right? Again, like you say, if you love it, getting the paycheck helps, but ultimately you're a songwriter. That's what you love to do. I'm sure you'd be doing it whether you were, needing to work full time somewhere else while doing this on the side.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Probably. It's not a reality, so we're just speaking hypothetically there. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, a fan base should be growing. Through your career, through your albums you've been making, but with something like this EP, No Singing or Dancing, man, like it's you sing obviously on this one to what's real, what people have been going through through this pandemic. You know, can you give me a little bit of background on the album, and sort of how it came to be?
Yeah, I hadn't written any songs for a little while, and I'd been producing, like you said, and like actually working as kind of a gigging musician with other people. And I was on tour with Noah Reed, who's a great musician, also actor, and I've produced 3 of his albums now. And we were on tour in the U.S. when everything kind of went down. We were, I think, 8 shows into a, I don't know, 25 show tour or something like that, where every show was sold out. They were really great venues. He's got a huge rabid fan base of very excited fans. So, you know, the shows were really fun. I was playing drums in his band and also opening the shows solo. So yeah, things were great. Things were going great, and we had all, and it was looking like there was going to be a lot of international stuff potentially coming up with that band, later in 2020 and into 2021. And then, of course, it all came, to a screeching halt. And very many musicians have very similar stories. So I found myself at home in the spring of 2020 and figured, well, I guess I should write some songs. I'm not doing anything else right now. So, yeah, I guess when kind of May, June started happening, that's when I got inspired, and I wrote, I guess, 5 of the 6 songs on the EP in the span of a few months over the summer of 2020. And then the 6th song, Sing Me to Sleep, was actually an older song that I had kicking around a little bit before the pandemic, but had just never released, and kind of finished, reworked the lyrics a little bit on that one. But anyway, so those 6 songs, I thought, I never intended originally for it to just be a 6-song EP, but I guess I didn't write any other songs for a little while, and I was trying to record those songs at home, sort of throughout 2020 and into 2021. And I recorded them about 3 or 4 times each and just tried them all sorts of different ways. And I think I just had too much time on my hands, and I was just playing every instrument and just, doing it myself. No one else had heard them at all. And I realized I'm never going to finish this if I keep going on this way. I'll just record them 10 times. And I don't know. So I needed some outside help to get it done. So, and then also, just to throw another wild card into the mix, we found out that my partner was pregnant. So we were expecting our first child, and we now have a baby boy, and everything's
amazing.
Great.
Congrats.
Everything's great with that. Thank you. But this was this was like last summer. And so we knew that there was a baby on the way, and things were really going to change. And so that kind of lit a bit of a fire under me to really get the project done. So I decided that I wanted something about these songs. I just wanted to do it in a simple way. I didn't want it to be a really deluxe production or expensive project or anything like that. I just wanted to keep everything pretty like small budget, small group of people working on it. So I called my friend James McKenty, who's an old buddy of mine. He's based out of Peterborough, Ontario, actually, and he's really making a name for himself as a recording engineer and producer these days. He's got a studio at his place and has worked with all kinds of people. He's even recorded Neil Young, believe it or not. That's a pretty cool story. But he's a great musician, great guitar player, and singer and songwriter. And he used to be in a band called the Spades from Peterborough years ago, and we toured together 10, 15 years ago. And so I've known him a long time, and I've worked with him on some albums as well over the years. So but I hadn't worked with him in a little while. So I thought, I think I'm going to go to Peterborough. I'm going to go to James's place for a few days, and he's got an old tape machine. He's we're both into classic approaches to making albums, recording on tape and using real outboard gear and playing live off the floor and doing it kind of the way records used to be made. And so I thought he's a good, that's what I wanted to do with these songs, and he was the right guy to call. And so yeah, we went and did it in 3 days at his place in Peterborough in late November, early December last year. And then my son was born January 7th, so we kind of got it in just under the wire. And then I was pretty busy for the first couple months
Yeah.
of having a newborn baby around, and now I'm back to working on producing projects and playing shows again.
Well, you know what, man, it's timely songs. You know, a lot of these things that you're singing about, you know, over the last couple of years is what I guess said a lot of people have been going through. Just feel like you had that in you. You had to get it out. You had to get the writing of these songs sort of out of you. It's sort of all you could really think about. And
yeah, I mean, there's when you're I don't know, when everyone's going through something like this together. I mean, it seems like every musician who's active today made an album over the last couple of years, right? And the question is, are you going to sort of acknowledge the crazy things that have been going on in the world, or are you going to sort of avoid that? For me, I just felt like I had to comment on it in some way, you know, through my songs, which is how I express myself. You know, I don't have like a blog, and I don't I don't publish articles or anything.
Wait, you don't
like
have
that.
a podcast, Matt?
I don't have a podcast yet. I'm one of the last people who doesn't have a podcast.
Yeah, come on, man.
But I listen to a lot of podcasts. Podcasts take up a lot of my time. But,
sure do.
But how? I guess for me, it's through my songs. So I just felt like I had to at least acknowledge the unique moment that we were living through. And yeah, so on some songs it's a little bit more explicit than on others. Some of them are just a little bit more just kind of capturing the feeling of the zeitgeist and the culture, and some of them are a little bit more like specifically about being home during lockdown and some of the, you know, like changes that were happening. Like the title track, I guess, is probably the most explicit. No singing or dancing. You know, obviously the title comes from, I don't know, seeing a tweet or something like that about you know, you can have a wedding with 15 people or something, but no singing or dancing, or, you know, like these sorts of things that we never would have imagined in our lifetime. These rules would be in place. But and as a musician, someone who makes their livelihood, you know, being in venues where our whole reason for being there is singing and dancing, it kind of, you know, really hit home when I read that, and I was like, wow, okay, this is a really strange time, and I hope this doesn't last for too long. So I tried to, in that particular song, I kind of go through a lot of the nuts and bolts of what we were all living through.
I love the idea too with the song Green Tea, and just finding, you know, even just comfort in something, whether it is green tea or green grass, you know, things like that. And I really, you know, I think that in a lot of these songs too, people have sort of found that over these last few years as well, as they've kind of found something or realized that they can slow some things down. But I think a lot of the themes as well throughout this just touch on things and learnings that people may have experienced as well, and maybe even just focused in on over these last few years. And in No Singing or Dancing, I love that you do resolve it. You know, you're like, we'll be back there, and, you know, things are going to be good. And I think that positive outlook too on a song like that, starting the way it does and moving into such like a nice, you know, realization as well later on, whether it's this year or next year, is feel good.
I mean, and it was still, I didn't know really at the time that I wrote the song. It was kind of optimistic. The last, you know, the end of the song is kind of like, you know, I'm pretty sure we're going to get through this. We're going to be back, you know, partying in the bars and dancing to our favorite bands. And, you know, that's back when everyone was saying, you know, it's like the Spanish flu 100 years ago. Then it led into the Roaring 20s. And I was thinking, okay, I'm in the entertainment business, you know, I'm ready for the Roaring 20s. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really panned out quite yet. And I don't know if it will. I don't know. But so many things have changed even between, you know, spring of 2020 and now. But anyway, yeah, I was fairly sure that things would go back if not to exactly the way they were before, that there would be certainly a hunger to get back to live music. And I have played some shows, and I haven't gone to too many shows myself, but it does feel like audiences are really cherishing being able to see live music again. And it's a real challenge for bands that are out on the road right now. There's just so many logistical factors and financial hurdles to get over, and not to mention just shows still getting canceled like crazy. But so it's I'm sort of like slowly returning to that whole thing. I mean, having a newborn baby and having like a lot of home studio producing work and stuff is like good reasons for me to not be rushing back out on a big tour. But I do have the itch. I do want to play. I do want to get out there and play. So I don't know, this fall, hopefully by next year, maybe a lot of those travel logistic things will be worked out, but who knows?
Yeah. The instrumentation throughout this EP as well is it really lends to the songs. I know that listening to No Singing or Dancing and the last song on Does Anybody Really Know, there's something about the way that you do like sort of descending or ascending chord structures with the way that the songs are, and Every Time You Cry as well. It just really fits so well with the messaging and the way that the song is sung as well. Are these melodies you've had kicking around? Did they come to you while singing these songs? Like, do you kind of get a vocal melody and then lead that into how your guitar work comes, or is it sort of the other way around?
Well, the songs on this album, all pretty much were written kind of in one sitting. Like not all of them together, but like each individually. Like I would just sort of sit down, feel inspired to write something, but not really have any idea where it was going to go. And just, for me, it's usually I just have a guitar in my hands, and in a quiet place, either like on a bench in my backyard or in a quiet room, and just sort of, you just try to, for me anyway, I just try to clear my mind and open myself up to inspiration. And I'm usually just noodling around on the guitar, and then you kind of stumble on a progression, and then a melody just appears out of that, and then maybe one line pops into my head that fits with the melody, and then that's kind of the starting point, and then from there the grunt work is kind of, for me at least, is writing the rest of the lyrics and like what's the whole story going to be. But like getting that initial spark of the song is a very mysterious thing. It's just sort of trying to open yourself up to and channel it somehow. But so I think all of these ones probably from start to finish probably took a couple of hours to write, which it's nice when songs come out in one sitting like that, because I have songs that I started 10 years ago that I haven't finished. I have some like that where I just can't, you get blocked and you just can't, maybe I have one line and maybe I'll have the whole melody and the whole chord progression, but I just don't know what the song's going to be about, and so it just never really gets finished. But these ones, I don't know, maybe it was the nature of having some direction in terms of what to write about, with what was going on in the world. I find if I have structure like that, it's so much easier to write. Like if I like when I've written songs for theater projects or something like that, where there's like a very specific reason why you're writing this song. It's for a particular character to sing in the story or something like that. I find I can write those songs really quickly. But when it's just me, Matthew Barber, sitting down to write a song, it could be about anything. And sometimes that can be daunting. And then it can be really hard to even just get a song off the ground. But if there's a little bit of direction going into it, then I find they can come together pretty quickly.
That's cool. Well, you mentioned theater there, and now "Sing Me to Sleep" was sort of an instrumental written for a theater show.
Yeah, that one came. I mean, that's an old melody that I'd had for I don't know, almost 10 years now, or maybe not quite that long. But I I worked on a show with Justin Rutledge, and we were doing the music together for a theatrical version of The Graduate, the famous Dustin Hoffman movie, which there's also a play version of it. So we were a friend of ours was directing it. This good buddy of mine named Andrew Shaver, who's actually also in Clever Hopes, if you're familiar with that musical duo. So Justin and I we were enlisted to write original music for The Graduate. We did start the show doing Sounds of Silence. That was the one Simon and Garfunkel song that we did, and then the rest of it was all original stuff that we co-wrote together. But that was one that we ended up just using. I think we just used we recorded a little instrumental version of it, and it was used kind of in background music in one scene in the play, and nothing else really came of it. But it was just it was a melody. It was a piece of music that I'd always had kicking around, and eventually I wanted to do something more. I thought it had a nice mood to it, but I didn't have lyrics for it, and I eventually got around to writing some words for it. And yeah, it's sort of a moody, melancholy lullaby, I guess you could say. And so that's the one song that didn't directly come out of 2020, but
it's a quick EP. I mean, it's 6 songs, and but I still think that ups and downs, the way that kind of go between the pacing of each song, and I think it's a great way to keep kind of like an attention to the listener.
Well, yeah, I care about all that stuff, I mean, we definitely live in a singles driven world with playlists and everything now, but I don't know. I'm old school. I still love. I mean, I was even reluctant. I don't even really love the idea of an EP versus a full length album, but the circumstances were just that I really only had 6 songs ready to go that I felt were really finished and that I really wanted to get done before my son was born. So I was like, okay, it's going to be an EP. That's just what it's going to be. And
might as well try it out.
I think that's fine. I don't think EPs don't get as much attention as full albums, in terms of the kind of when you're getting your promo and your publicity together to sort of pitch to people. I think probably EPs don't get as much attention as full albums. And I understand that, a full album is really a complete artistic statement, I think, of, and an EP is not all the way there. It's partial, but these things are also kind of arbitrary, and even more so now in this sort of digital streaming world that we live in. So, the way people are releasing music now, it just sort of putting out like a single a month. I mean, whether the final album is 6 songs or 10 songs or 15 songs, I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess. So yeah, that was my thought process there. I was like, I'm not, I wish I had 10 songs right now, but I don't. I have 6 songs, so I'm gonna make this package really good. I'm not gonna try to, overextend myself and include some things that aren't quite ready to go yet. And in with this one, I actually didn't even make physical products, so no. I thought about making vinyl, but for 6 songs, it would be like I could make a 10-inch, which actually I don't know, could be cool, but maybe still will, but I don't know. I just kind of thought let's just make this a digital only release and see how that goes, So unfortunately I won't have copies of it to sell at my upcoming shows. I'll have to just be selling my back catalog off the stage, but it just really seems like the way 99% of people listen to music these days is online. So it seemed like if there was ever a time to make a digital only release, this was the time to do it. So I did.
Yeah, man. I mean, you gotta kind of go with what you're motivated to do as well, I guess.
I love vinyl. I do want to make another record where we press vinyl and make records, but I think that'll probably be my next one, and I don't know when that'll be. I gotta write a lot of songs.
Well, you just had a kid, so I'm sure there are things kicking around in there, starting anyways.
It's gonna, yeah. I'm listening to a lot of Raffi, so it could be.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll make a kids album. Could
That's
make a
it.
kids album. Could be a lucrative business. You never know.
That's it, man. Raffi, good for you. We're into Coco Melon right now. I don't know if you're into Coco Melon yet, but
I don't even know Coco Melon.
okay, don't do it. Don't do it. I'll be giving you a
Okay.
heads up now. Sesame Street, we're back to Sesame Street as well, kind of in that phase, which
Oh yeah.
kind of good. A little more creative with that.
I've
but-
got an old Sesame Street record that I grew up with that I played for my son recently, and it's got some classics on it.
That's awesome.
Somebody Come and Play.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a record from the 70s, like the early days of Sesame Street.
Wild.
But it's a fun record. Yeah, they've got some songs, they've got some sketches,
Yeah.
some bits.
That's cool.
It's good. It's good stuff. Entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the Skinamarink book too. I won't make this all about the kids right now, but the Skinamarink,
Yeah.
the Skinamarink book. But
Okay.
you go back. You got to try and find some other
Skinnamarink
stuff.
Dinky Doo.
Yeah, that's it,
Or
man.
Sharon Lawson Bram.
That's it. That's the
Yeah.
the trio. I'll try and get this back on track here for us. You just kind of lastly, just around sort of the release, kind of like goals. I know you worked with Outside a lot and you were kind of busy, I'm sure, but kind of goals that you're gonna sort of set yourself out for yourself and prior to the release or leading up to and then afterwards. Was there anything that you set for yourself to reach aside from completing the album? And did any of that change during the process?
I mean, my goals really are just to make the best music that I can make, and just make something that really feels true to me as an artist, and then I put it out in the world, and it's really I just hope that I guess ultimately I want it to be well received by my musical peers, by the community of people whose taste I really respect, like if I get a message from a fellow musician that they're really digging the album, then there's nothing better than that for me. So I don't follow my streaming numbers or whatever. I get these emails from Spotify saying this is how your monthly update on you, and I don't even look at them. I just delete them because I just don't even want to. I don't want to start getting hung up on that or getting anxiety about that kind of thing, because once it's out in the world, there's not really anything I can do. Yeah, I definitely didn't have any grand online strategy for how to conquer the world with this EP or anything like that. So it's I just kind of hope for the best,
Well, it's been working out for you so far in the last 20 years, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
been pretty good. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, and we talk about, we can sort of finish it up here, but just thinking about that, you talk about 20 years, you talk about having a label behind you. I mean, yeah, it's not like it's just happening for you after 20 years though, but it also isn't like it just happened for you right away at the beginning either. You still had between 99 and 2004, I think it was 2004 when you was it Paper Bag or Warner by 2004, and then you mentioned 2008 with Outside,
Paper Bag, yeah. So my first album, my first sort of official album, I mean, I made a couple of very indie tapes and stuff before that, but my first sort of what I consider my first official album, Means and Ends, came out independently in 2002. And then it got picked up by Paper Bag Records and was re-released by them in 2003. And then I got signed to Warner. So I put out an EP, the only other EP besides this new one that I've ever done, in 2004, and then a full length with Warner in 2005. And then, it didn't really work out long term with Warner, but that's neither here nor there. It was a good experience. But probably didn't make sense to keep on with them anyway. And found a really great home with Outside Music in 2008. And then, I don't know. I guess I've put out about 7 or 8 more albums since through Outside.
Yeah, it's cool. It's time, and also really good music. Go check out Matthew Barber's new EP, No Singing or Dancing. Again, front to back. It's fantastic, man. Songwriting, instrumentation, production, absolutely love it. So thanks for chatting about it on the Release Day Series podcast with me.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Alex.
you can discover more podcast episodes as well as our limited video series on our website, www.releasedaseries.com. And if you'd like to support the show, we've added that option to the website as well. Send us $1, $3, $5, whatever you'd like. Any support helps. But most importantly, we appreciate you listening and sharing the podcast.